Work on the National Cathedral is progressing speedily, and following the program of the contractors and with God helping us, the National Cathedral is expected to be officially commissioned on March 6, 2024. Upon completion, the National Cathedral will provide a sacred space for formal religious activities of state and symbolize the enormous contribution of faith to nation building. Mr. Speaker, this state and church partnership envisaged by the President to develop the National Cathedral, it's on an initiative, the 100 CDs a month club, also dubbed Kitwe Biara Nswa, will be launched by the trustees of the National Cathedral on August 12, 2021, to give as many Ghanaians as possible the opportunity to be part of the history to build the National Cathedral. The aim of the club is to raise 1 million Ghanaians who will give 100 CDs a month for the construction of the National Cathedral. A special short code 979 has been developed for this purpose. We look forward to Mr. Speaker and all the members of this august house joining the 100 CDs a month club. We are strengthening the links between education and job market stakeholders. We are also revitalizing the skills development initiatives and the Ghana Enterprises Agency, NEIP, YEA, and Govt. We are also feverishly working on a scheme that enables the private sector to train new recruits entrants at a subsidized rates by government. Mr. Speaker, our intention of building an entrepreneurial nation is already known. We aim to empower our youth to be at ease and venture into businesses. The cleanup of the financial sector and the invigoration of the entrepreneurial ecosystem is expected to help remove the binding constraints of financing and market linkages for our daring youth. Our focus will remain on establishing a strong value system for entrepreneurship to flourish. Mr. Speaker, recognizing that more needs to be done, government is today announcing a 1 million jobs initiatives to aggressively respond to the needs of the country. This is to promote growth in SMEs, support new ventures, and stimulate innovation and startups. We are strengthening.
Arabe ya samu achibi mamu akwaba de aba Badwam Mpensenpensenmu so na okrompo na daroma bibia ai krado sabe ka sei na wotwe aba pa ho sima nsia pepepe Adom TV so na se nkoma nyumaku akese bi o maso ya sene ema enei ye de Badwam Mpensenpensenmu ebrewo ene Hepa Plus Misha opapom din a fa ho to Hepa Plus Misha so impressor capsules waposo baby akase no ebihie bia no so te ya obi a wo ha impressor capsules no behwe atotoma bibia aye kama ede ama Greenfield Scientific Clinic osifa nyadwa na bra so ahun no nye ntubase de mfidie ahwe na ohun baby a yare ne hye ana edi unya papa no aduro ede apreprechire infa v wash eye maade oba obi siesie ho na wasipi asita eye infa v wash ena eye kel charcoal toothpaste eno nso eboa etose ho sie fita num ye hwam na fe so otimi aka somsem abonsiri hehe ena no pay ye bedi nkomo ede afa enra media budget reviewer ye finance minister Ira Kanu Foriata ede ekomen emrase bedwafie ho nkomodie no efrase na ye wo osoafo bi de akire a ono ena ehwe oman sikasem so eye mame abna osei asare osan eye emrashikeni di momamfo wo etiwa east honorable memwachi amakwaba
me da sina mechia etifu nyina soso
etifu ejo so ansakra na meba oso na ja aduanom no mo anoa ena ye ba bedie nti mame nko na mene yewura John Jinapo a wono oye message di momamfo wo yape gusegu eni enkomo na yenhwe ensema hodo a enre to dwa no se de wo a ewodom kuma na fam no wono hunu nsem sanse proud to say ye finance minister ebeba oman brashifie na wodi media budget review yabai onmo friends and trefo eboroboro nsem so kra suggest say be a ye dead levels akwa koduru no ehu behia se yebekọ IMF anase baby bi surunko bi na anyi bia nra nsem a epiepie no address some of the issues on raise and said say JJ, good morning.
Good morning, Menu.
Na aponum te saying. Yeah, na amanfo nim se wosan ye ma azantima mponi nti omseme mo aso nte se kontonchi bo hia kuma ya tabre fie.
Bebe fie.
All right. Anopai yenhwe eno ansama yera kan ofori atade beto dwa me say proud to say no obeba no more true more ranking member our finance committee ni so edin sama hodo bi to dwa niam a mo fo se enko yomansi kasemo a atete apansama ne niam bia mo fo se ya anya ye beji agukura enra utie opani ni wi anyi bia nsama odi to dwa no ebinom wo ho a address issues amo raise ye no anam ho ani da so bi wo mu.
No, Menu, me that's a bit na me chair TF nyina. Me name say me volume ni okay, mama.
Okay pa.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Nyame nim no kra say already budget na apart from praise singing any Bible minister be kotu ye any mo kind na it just confirms one thing say economy na etitia pansam. A confirm say economy in baby yedruno. The future is bleak. Na yanhwe year. Nyada yonim no kra no. E worse than your experiences say. Minister Nkasa. Me nyameka bia na refer to the page. Page 21, paragraph 109. Already minister the taxes be brave abeto yeso. In fact, for the pollution and sanitation levy, data fund levy, COVID-19 levy, financial sector cleanup levy, inclusive VAT levy, levies be brave. On what they just say, and by the time of by June by end no, now when you 35 billion cedis in revenues, and now no revenue when you 24 billion. They say more than 10 billion when you what the percentage calculation there's a percentage shortfall of about 31%. In the taxes be whatever to 2 years so assurance of mine no. The revenue targets no. One missing by single digit. One missing by over 30%. That is worrying. Now in economics no. So when we see revenue target, what you do is to also look at the expenditure side. And my position is that one of the key areas of our goods and services. Because all the goods and services compare capital expenditure. Capital expenditure and the acquiring the hospitals, the real critical infrastructure projects no ever. But who the goods and services or project is over spending 2.6 billion. Or the budget was spending 4.4 billion. Just a word, Diablo so 63%. Clearly, we are in very, very difficult situations. Because goods and services in Kwan, where Diablo so 63%. Meanwhile, revenues no had dropped it by 31%.
I mean, target no.
Your debt levels by December 2020, now you can you 291 billion. Within this short period, by June, I got 334 billion. That means you can across by 43 billion in 6 months. Just 6 months, 43 billion. Meanwhile, your total revenue is 24 billion. I don't know when you mention now.
Me tepa.
Within this 6 months, 24 billion. Meanwhile, you can across by a whopping 43 billion. You know, economy and Mpensenpensenmu DNI. This economy is dead. But media workers mobile. Look, me suma workers, Papa. I feel a minister na debate through that. Or say your daily wage, you're by 4%. That's a nominal increment. 4%. Meanwhile, inflation 8%. What it means, they say, So we aban ejuma yeni and now we ejuma na se usika. Yemfa say monthly salary 100 cedis. 4% in the 104 cedis and ameboa. Now 8% inflation not usika no so by 8%. Because inflation eats into your purchasing power. Inti bosumi ni bedu na wiye no. Now usika na one that is the purchasing power, the real value of usika no. 96 Ghana cedis. So you are worse off. What is good about this budget, Minion? You tell me what is good about a budget that will make the ordinary Ghanaian worse off?
But Honorable Jinapo, has there been a time say adwumayɛfoɔ akatua ntumu no yɛhwɛ inflation rate no na yɛde atom sɛ bia inflation rate gina 10% nti yɛ more 10%? Has there been a time?
Exactly so. Exactly so. You apply the Fisher's rule to ensure that one year at least restore him to parity. That is the essence of a daily living minimum wage. It is to adjust for inflation. It is to adjust for price increments. That is why we come out with a minimum wage. Until your friend a minimum. Just a you shouldn't be worse off.
But the finance minister said, after COVID, no, we share a how idea brace, Casemini in Akrana, and I'm on to a power moyenti, and na economy no, SRTS now so it's a year recorded growth, and then Yamaka crack crabby indicators be a chesampa, yes, sign a genai and naso, and you mean ye, but be actually see a say a genai and naso, and on only in your dream home.
The growth should reflect in your living condition, and I'm a
no correct.
Yes, the growth should improve your life. So economy no yini. Na se usika semum ana aduane kura obetimi ato no. Eso ati abofoma. Ebia na every man auto a bag of rice. And they won't even to a bag of rice. What is the value of that so-called growth? A growth of economy is a function of four things: consumption, investment, government expenditure, and the difference between your export and import. If government decides to overspend too much, like I'm showing you with the goods and services, you would see a growth rate in terms of the GDP, but it will be meaningless. If government decides to overspend too much, then your GDP or growth rate will increase. Now, me pacho, we could document do what. So,
regional economic outlook.
Regional economic outlook.
Yeah.
Sub-Saharan Africa. Ukomwa, Ghana. 2020, then Ghana and Ghana COVID actually.
Debbie.
Your deficit, according to the IMF, according to the World Bank, Ghana any 16.4%, the highest amongst all the countries.
All the countries in sub-Saharan Africa.
In sub-Saharan Africa, because this report is a report on sub-Saharan Africa, about 44 countries.
But I ain't for net draft is our report, no. The source, no.
We here, so this is the IMF document. IMF one of the document whereby the International Monetary Fund. Aban and challenge you omo. Aban and protest here. And no, I'm a website, document way egusu at the IMF a website. Côte d'Ivoire, almost deficit, near 5%. Equatorial Guinea, 4%. Gabon, 5%. Ghana, 15.4%.
Most still stand by the point I'm raising now. Mo year press conference and they say aban na kwhye COVID dachi ne mum na niema agye agudada.
I'm saying say COVID no nya Ghana nkwa na achi yen. Ade na yen kwa ya COVID ye running a deficit of over 16%. Abra ye PS will be 5%. When you run a deficit of 16%, meaning it will show a positive growth rate in your GDP because you are overspending. It is a offer wakatua 1,000 cedis a month. But wakwajibusia 20,000. What you are rich fee? What you are riboga meat? And you think that you are doing well. I cannot add the whole air train. Because Ghana is not an island. Tell me how many countries post-COVID are introducing 9 different taxes? Just mention one country. Post-COVID, no, even we are still within COVID. Post-2020, introducing all these taxes were introduced. And yet you go and give workers a minimum wage of 4%. It's an insult.
Eti Andra aban mrani a wosan ho pe indicators of say eboa akere say ye nya rebound from a shock and say how coronavirus edibre no for say it's just in the books but reflective of from.
Look, every document and every statement I've made, I've referred to the minister's own paragraphs. Me quote 2, paragraph 87 now, paragraph 92, page 16. Paragraph B, me quote B, me pick from document. Let them dispute that. Issues are raising, say workers should be worse off, no. Let them dispute that. Say, the minimum wage of 4%, will rather increase the purchasing power of workers against an inflation of 8%. And say a cost by 44 billion. And say your revenues are dropping by 10 billion. Let them say that. Say you make a credit and your budget, it's not an answer. Say no credit and your minister can in Amaza. You can't go baby, because I didn't top on go.
Eti entop JJ kasa tintin top on ko na je say yenyi because aban me ate ase say enye ma ode agu akwa mu ba be create about 1 million jobs agenda 88 sha just next month ne ho keka ho no de o kan de na sa bambuom yenyi
aban ya nokra de minister of finance o man panyin na nkasa president Akufo-Addo de betu just say within 1 year obesi 100 and the agenda 111 na me boy.
Started 88 na ode ebika ho de 111.
Was it within 1 year and na me boy?
Ampa.
And me know say one block ra we see.
Say no more year a pre-construction and your money
anya me na me be kan president na be kan no hin na mo ka adwuma anya yie na yin kwa na be ka se be ye. O hin na nkasa o hin na Capo de Capo, Dankasa be catch there, say Yaman 1 year. Obesi 88 hospitals. Menuka say 1 hospital won't mean see. No, in an say my Antimanto Ponko. Now, him one SM now or the into the more than 1 year, the preparation there. More than 1 year. The president didn't know that.
In one word, who describe it, Enra media budget review, no? Over describing it saying.
This budget, of person money India is easy. Budget we your friend Kofie budget.
Kofie
budget because workers are going to be impoverished. Apart from inflation and AD workers, you are taxing them to the hilt. In fact, even LPG get or gas, I didn't know if you more taxing.
All right,
gas. Very soon, gas I brief from an combat taxi.
JJ, ma men now I say, I want to pay Brow Genie Dinkomo.
That's it.
John Jinapo, Rashid Janidi Momam for a war Yape Gusegu, no sign, a car, a year, finance committee, or members with your fee on to say anything. Honorable, Messamo Quabium.
Medasina, Major Sona, my science to Chichia, ETF Union, Susubio.
A tip for Edge so now. Safe na de fidi na to a honorable Abna Osei Asare and na yeso afọ bi de kira wo hwe o mai sikasem so nti enra de etie de yabo bi a kire wo de a chechire bi mu a kire wo no ono ene ne boss kanu furiata na wono mu anwene o mai sikasem bi e fa ho bia no omo na efe so nti wo hai de enkomo bia de akamu de opa so te ase bia no e be try say ye bibisa na yaje ho enchiremu edi ama honorable ma yen hyase enra dwumadi a o boss eba machine fi bedi no botai pa na any saying
me da say your botai dey di kindness say it is in fulfillment of the Public Financial Management Act. Say o parliament omo akwanya say sika sei fa ye adwuma afine du mfinfin bebu akonta a kire yen kwan a wafa so na permission ye dey ma say spend on behalf of government no e dey sen kwan ben so no wafa so awaye nti wotie ya ye kan efa yen tutu a yagege ene expenditure say sika ye de aye adwuma ene nioma ye hwe se 6 months here ye wuremu yi nioma esi aban pese oboa na osia no ena free July so aircon ni afenewie ye no ni aban ehwa ono so ebetimi ayede aboa na enisuade hu a oka se opese ode budget no eye no 2021 budget ne ye no otimi ede ye nti eno na enura yekobobo mu kire Ghana for na minim se enura ye wie nkita hudi a ye ne stakeholders di ye omo kire se media budget review di eye media budget review with a difference ene se yanko anko kase ye agisike bio maka ho ye kan se yanko for supplementary budget ne se bibia si bibia ba na nti ye hia sika foforo ede aka ho ede edi dwuma na
eka akoma sika na ede amamo dada no
ede ma ye ndeda no ba yanko ye bibia sa nti say a lot of stakeholders both inside and out of the country are very happy omo hwe se aban hwe se senior nioma ekono nie waka sobe no obe live within the means no aye ne saa na me nua no John Jinapo kasa no o say your revenue ye ntimi 30% short
mo beje no mu amantimi anye so amu adi ama na boro so
data de data ne sa information we it's all over the place nti eya mane enwen se okansem se ya Ghana for enko na omonko nko check
information ekita ye different from say na
information na ekita me we ye mid-year budget review statement na nkasa ye sika ne akontabuo ni nyina eka ho na wo hwa ye ka se ye total revenue and grants ye share se na nka ye be ye 32.3 billion 32.4 billion which is 7.5% of GDP but okay ye kan ni nyina bom ye nya 28.3 billion 28.3 billion which is a shortfall of 12.5% and yet 30% on hand ni e ka kire Ghana phone but afei so wo hwe this year ye yetimi aye no compared to last year your revenues no in nominal terms no equal up by 18.1%.
Oh, okay, that's an improvement.
That is a real improvement. Improvement not bad because aban introducing a lot of efficiency into the revenue mobilization. Ushe Ghana.gov platform na watching a trade ya your vice president launch a payment platform, a common payment platform. Uni aban di business will be bia across the country and yen crime free esoro eba from bebia ubetimi akwakotua wo bank bia aban ensa ebeka sika no na aban utua ya apeso so broni beka say in real time aban hu sika abeto ne account mu ti we can efficiency measures na ye dey ba no to say minister so can say ye be launch bibia ye frɛ no revenue assurance and compliance execution and no so ye be boa say ye ne national security ne other stakeholders ebe kan ye hu abom bebi BSS ye buana ye gi ye sika no ye sika ese na efata say ye de betua ma aban no ye beye na ye tua ma aban mention say in 2021 budget no ye de 9 taxes na buy menua enye 9 taxes na de buy taxes na de buy no ye di ho adanse ye say ye nyina ye hu se ne covid no atete apansan ko bebre ye ndie nyankopon wado
nti ejonabo enye 9 no na ye say nka o ma ye hu se ne dodo no na yehu amankomo no emu ada ho
ye di kan no ye de 5 ene bae
5
eno ye covid-11 in sanitation no ene delta no ene de ma banks no
banks ne de no
yes ene ye de bae say ye call parliament no ye ka kire parliament say ye expenditure for the year 2021 108 billion but revenues are ye betimi agege 72 billion. Intimidate between the 108 billion and the 72 billion. How do you fund your programs? Because as I say, free SHS, it's me cost planting for food and jobs cost your school feeding cost new other flagship programs as I say are buying implemented na citizens ya hu here yen ni nyina as I say oye inti sa gap yi either say ube tax revenue ebetua anase say you do it share your structure na through borrowing and asset tax revenue and ye de fund your budget. Enti so ni aka say and I say this time dear pa is 32.4 billion. That was the target all right. But they had 28.3 and the difference or the growth is 18.1. Inti mi nua ya ade mpen bebre ni so ye beba media no ya e bia na ye ntimi meet ye revenue target but we hwe na ye expenditure akosoro esen de ye target for but we hwe afi ya ye expenditure ankosoro ansen de ye ka say ye beye no ye ka say ye beye 55.1 billion by end of June, but so far ye 50.6 billion. This tells you that aban living within the means. Now share say a ban sign and I yet me and make his savings here. Prudent measures are Minister of Finance through the fiscal policies or thereby revenues near expenditure. Any the Bank of Ghana so boa in the monetary policy area no. Now boa interest akọ from it na wo hwe ye ka say interest no by half of the half year ni yetia ya 17.9 billion.
Bosumi nsie di afene kan no.
June ending ni yetia 17.9. But there's some prudent measures near Diabano. So far, you are spending 15 billion on interest. Into this government is aware, say, as I see a year everything possible. Now, you're living within your means. Not near Parliament are proving mine in 2021. You're this one year. Now, and yeah, and also penna, you cancel catch Parliament say, I feel your deficit no, you unco over and above. Now, mean you are kase, and now your deficit na cost 16 points ahead. They be a ye chemu say. Yen ye did deficits ne ba parliament no ye can say energy sector no enya ade a debt no mujama yen na omo call yen no mujama yen no enya ade a eye say other deficits and then the financial sector deficits loans ne ekoji yen nyina eye for a specific purpose in calculating your deficit yaka and every time we state it clearly in the budget say we do not add those two because enye the usual form of debt. Bibi na akoka bibi.
Sector debt ne.
Any financial sector debt. Ayo omo hye ya na amwa na eja saasi kapudo ya to yeso. Anti ye hwe se ye betua na ye yi.
Na man for was a problem they say after 5 years in government na ya bibi still am pese mo refer
na mo after 5 years in government asem. And then banks ni bi wo ho a ye da so etuo mo ka. So it is not like after 5 years asem. If yes, because Sikano sabe entire bebre sa o see a structure na ye nkakra ni etimi di tua sa financial debt nya sabe we sika wo bank na se o man hweso ye na bank na egu a wo na se ufa hu tipa ya na we na se nti aban be mu e be hwe nti consistently ya catch IMF for say sa nyoma we eye one of item and the usual items nti ye mfa kan ye deficit no. Until we strongly disagree, say it's 16.7.
And they say no, per the okay, what is 11.4?
11.4. Parliament for the 2021 budget it was 11.4, and we stated that clearly. Said this is it.
And the broadcaster say well the high side, kakra.
It was the high side because there were explanation. Explanation is say you catch them say COVID bar, you know that was in 2020. We had to go to Parliament, reduce our revenues by 12.5 billion. But meanwhile, the expenditure involved in COVID, in fighting the COVID, because President Niswadi who said COVID ji obedi kan save lives because yen the nim send ye yetimi sie economy no say eye basa. But the nim send ye yetimi di nipa eden esan ba nkwamu biom. Nti eno ene ye Niswadi hu. Ene nti aban
okay, na say COVID time no me tia sia motete revenue and na was some gigene so
because businesses
more spending more at the situation no
businesses bebre hu kan ye nua nkofo bebre wo ho a omo ejuma ye den ese ye nti na they were not able to pay taxes and production and every productivity na e call form nti aban ka say me so ade we ya no nti wo hwe ya ye call parliament
ka say nkofo bi hold on mo taxes ni ade efa kwanya ye be faso ye be save ye nkofo nti no the additional 13 billion by nti that resulted in the deficit prior to 2020 no now we share ye deficit it was below 5% because we applied the Fiscal Responsibility Act ye catch who say ye be make sure say ye primary positive primary balance and then your deficit to GDP bro 5% ye di super from time I set rule until COVID buy. But you will have a year at forcing saying said mode and nay say you can say well economic woes are mode a share COVID the year because even before COVID, na enyama agye gudada.
Even before COVID, we never witnessed above 5% of debt deficits. No, we never recorded.
But
that.
Our debt levels still are no pa.
Me explaining idea say there's a gap between your expenditure and the revenue.
Sure.
So between that gap, how do you want us to fill it? We fill it by raising more taxes because of the structural nature of our economy, or we borrow to fund these things. So and it is not something a country cannot run without that. Sure, UK. COVID, no, our debt levels are cost by 99.7% of GDP. So we sit here and say as if Ghana is an island, Ghana is the only one, trying to save Ninkro for. All countries are doing that. US, they had to come up with a package of about 3.5 trillion.
Yeah.
To support the economy. And Mijidi say, na Mpensenpensenmu politics, but share achievements here. This mid-year budget review, edia tupono so a. You say ya honka bebre. E na face mame nko edwuma no so. Na me nua na ka say ye increase workers salary minimum wage
yes,
and by 4%. Yes, the public sector will by 4%.
Instead my 4 ebonyo ekra.
Sebio, country say enwuma ya ye enya aban pe na employ nkofo.
Sure.
We have the private sector. So the negotiations is made up of the tripartite committee, employers. Fa nkofo wejumem. The unions and government. Who ye bibia, who nye die bema sebio employers so because the easiest way for them in the private sector is to lay people off. But that is not what government wants. More what government and public sector for no. Consistently, ebinum anko ejuma for several months because of the COVID in 2020. None of them lost their salary. Everybody was paid what was due the person. Ask of the private sector teachers, no. This almost say omanko school, ye ti omo kana.
Private teachers,
yes. And omo hospitality industry, bisa say Kwafamba hotels ye ti omo kana. So we consider all these things and then look at the revenue that government is able to raise, and we decide together. Said this is what we believe we can.
I say abani hwezika kakra won nsem na fe so say ono kokotro.
Yes.
Akatua no bebre na say the pressure about private employers.
So say where are they going to get after the economy no ahya sign a rebound biom. God being so good, first quarter you recorded 3.1% GDP growth rate. When you also sign I can say and about deficits no for the sub-Saharan Africa. Now ni refi ade bako say in 2020 it was projected say the global economy, including sub-Saharan Africa, will witness a negative growth rate. But what happened to Ghana? We witnessed 0.4%, a positive growth rate. He forgets to say all these things, and it is because of policies, new measures now. Nanado danko ekufado, edeto apno so, ebuaye ma, yenuanum esan back, and moving forward no. Abayin si kwanya mefa so met media revive economy no. Now me the confidence asanya back to Ghanaians ne say I have to vaccinate Menkofonu to achieve herd immunity. And in Tina, Abayin say made a top 17 million doses of Johnson & Johnson. And no, one and single dose shots near war. Now, media boa say, ye achieve herd immunity. Now, the number of people ye person ye vaccinate you, or you come her, yet me vaccinate you. But my business is confident. Say, me de misika eko share business imubioma. And yes, say yare besamba. Ama ba ye nyina ye benya ahode san say ya wo ye friends na ade a etwemu migidi say nkofo bebre ebi omonsem eda omampani ase the 1 million jobs initiative na ye de eba no over 3 years. We are hoping say your youth now they form 71% of the population. They're below 35 years no, they form 71% of the population. Now oshe COVID year by I hit you very hard, and government edin share ni susu ye pa bebre buy be say ye be buo mo omo mpeso ye o mejuma they have lost their jobs. We are doing retraining and skills training and retraining.
Me person be nyanto wase a chem ye because nipa bebre no e believe say we dey manifesto promise ni bia ya tia bre 1 million jobs asem de e dey potin na mo ye wo ho say sa nipa 1 million ni be nya adwuma pe de mo kan o share National Entrepreneurial NIP for NIP.
and why eka ho bi and na afa so ye ne private sector skills retraining no ye di kan ye bi deda any faith-based organization in sorry no o sha in sorry be to say Pentecost Presbyterian ade omo wo in Sanojuma nkonko bebre across the country, so we are partnering with them because omo no be boanyama you identify the vulnerable in the society ni omo mu hia saade no, and so we have partnered with them already. Yeah, ye be medical go through how to make shoes and other things are almost so yeah,
that is sad. I am not effective. It me achieve the intended purpose. No,
say the can. You local sandals here. Yeshi. And yes, sir. Initiative ye be. And abua ama omenya yefe omenya sa akwenya na omuso moye. And na ye can about the youth bank. Youth bank na enye bank fufura. Yafe na ye babisi. Nemo eye more about access and connection. Say ye be link ebia entrepreneurs say work across a certain region.
Into you get access to credit facility,
funding, and then a connection so to ebia a buyer, a seller, sa connection. And sa youth bank here so bank kind now be apply for BBA. We are using existing banks, the commercial banks, CBG, and we know say because rural banks also here spread across the country, no, we will consider using them also so that what say any name baby. What say assignment baby e wo me constituency ho a ehun hia so be bank
no so ye bibi sa o but there's this saying say o hwe ewiase a say if not the whole world mpo a anase Africa ha Ghana ye cast ye initiate policies we are the best but the implementation eno na ya na issue ekwan be ne because nipa ne bebre sua dwuma do na ko school be wi no access to a funding, yeah, yeah, can once any, not a problem. Distribution, I'm for say, and fair enough. And it's very difficult for business startups, especially cream has a over started business. Indeed, Bibison could be a hormone, a day correct sadiano, and I say a day sa tino. I mean, who's oh, there's a new breed of Bibia air banty, where you for also union and crunch say, Uber baby, Uber be starting baby, I'm an akuye baby.
Yeah, make answer this policy no is and yes say Ghana food now is targeted purposely at the youth. Emebuno 35 and below for no. And any meaning say any IP I hear a lot of engagements in that regard. Yeah, you share a lot of stakeholders and in seminar nyoma na PA free in share anim and no na yet me dey form our policy here kind. So this time, it's strictly targeted at the youth. When you obia say we are Ghana into Debbie, but in Mebununu Oma go through some series of training. Any idea no? Yeah, to the business so yeah Mebunu yeah na for some reason yeah bemu ebu.
Yeah.
But mesre say yeah and the future of this country depends on the youth. Say and the quality of youth are yen so yeah be yen and ebe boa ama ye nyina so pa. In everything, memo my yabemu embu. Nemo abide the policy way yaba. Sometimes ebi apply once, twice, one in can be no apaba. But you have to force, you have to push. And they be a make a say, and yet my first time near me call Parliament na me win here. I contested in 2010 in the primaries and I lost, but I didn't give up. And then me signed Comenium in 2012. And then I want to pushy. We should the youth no. Let's have Minister Koti 2 Timothy 2. He spoke about
Bible quotations.
Any Bible quotations. Bible quotations. It's a sharing a way of life. And I can say, Nyankopon are my spirit of fear, or but my spirit of self-control, self-discipline. And as youth no, take the initiative. Let's control ourselves. Let's discipline ourselves and take advantage of.
But sometimes when you see there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, fine, a mouse eye encouragement, you know. But what share as it say, said the Nioma AC echo. As I speak to you, no, me assure so called constituency at OTB. Who nipa almost one for more, almost can be true. And come on, be a DNA say, Krumway ding. But here's the case, mukita figures, ne indicators are actually say, and Niama equal so Niama equal at what level?
Yo, say any day. Nyoma nima emuaye de no enye Ghana pe it's across the world because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Akoso baby ya and inti the imported inflation aba no mo kra nyoma ba China fo atototo omo containers mu inti se bi omo so mo ba ha eka na omo de omo boy no eno so no omo de be hwe no omo de price omo de omo nyoma ti setting ya ma nyoma akosoro kakra but aban yi nanka aban ti ho nanka onye hwe ya mjidi se aho chira nka ebe ba no nka ebe dos bebe but here's a case aban hwe se ye engage sebe ye nuanoma or your public sector workers there close to 750,000 people they are assured of their jobs and ope bi omo sori ko ejuma bosumi bi ewu omo ji omaketia other projects ni nyoma aban ede aboa school nkwala ni ade it is ongoing so many things are ongoing na but me gidi say ye ntimi nka se aban waye ni nyina na mu ye guso and what we need senior minister kind is the partnership from all stakeholders ma ye nyina abonten na ye criticize edie na wa ubetimi ede abehye ma ebeboa enra me call PM Express Joy News. And one of the panelists no eka say omo hwe say small and medium scale enterprises no omo say yema taxes no enye accessible emom nti bia wo group into level say wa level we afini nyina o tax a obetua say the flat tax rates be near famom nti yes stress obi anfa constructive criticisms emra ni enhwe kwan a ye befa so a ye beye already ni stakeholders no engagement say sadie way it seems to be coming up a lot say taxes no mitie bi wo ha kade na mon kan nyina mbom na nkan che me so abna busumi afi mu udi abetia 10% nti wejuma ye nyina wo hwe sika udi shem no wo be ma me 10%. You know, these are some of the things he did say ye nyina ye kan ye hubom ni ye ne ye boa ebe boa ye bebre na face so aban ankasa so ebe check ne ho ene say obe introduce efficient measures into the processes of government obi ene ukoye passport a kanen na goro boys asom no mo ye ni say but ene ntisa utu fie wa apply online wa ye bibia ye se bra na beje ukoye driver's license sa aban hwe say we nyina obe introduce efficient measures into the way we do things. Yes sir, it decreases the cost of doing business and it affects ye nuanoma SMEs so positively. This is what government is looking at doing. You did say you be here mu nyamomwa maboan ma
we will continue to be citizens not spectators. But na media budget review mu na motete to no bi so na enye yie.
Yo me da say wa midi kan mi kire mu kire o say yesika nyina ne eto na yese ye gigini bibia 72.3 billion na nioma ye hia ne etimi ara na economy no nioma ye hia na etimi ama nioma akonkan no 108 billion eninti between that no aban timi nka se or the tour gigini nyina but or the tour agiri kakra.
Okay.
Taxes ni introduce ye nyina in 2021 March no it's just 2.1 billion.
They buy any nyina.
They buy any nyina 2.1 billion. Meanwhile the gap no between 72 and 108 menia bebre enti aban nim burden ne nioma ye nyina ye fame as a result of this COVID.
Tax experts ne mo ankasa kra sometimes mo babonten be kirem say enipa kakra bi na etuato nipa kakra bi na etuato nso omo aso na eguso pilot one dodo na egu mo tiri
na make say aban introduce efficient measures ni bi say or the aban introduce national identification card no or link it to or tax identification number or link it to passport any DVLA ni SNIT ni sa nyuma ni nyina nti ene o hwe kaneno na omomo 10 no tax identification number no me about 5.5 million and now ye ka say because aban introduces sa measures no and then you 15 million people with tax identification numbers ni enimu say
but numbers no ewo ho keke ana say
numbers no ewo ho nom na ye enim ntini entimi entap into it but see ye hu numbers no we will drill down na ye hu say numbers here ba ye emu 8 million eseso mutua taxes na ye ni omakoka ye nso yetimi identify no metua musika se ne eseso mutua musika kane ne de se wunima ade ya wunimu de untimi nye but see ya ye hu sa nyoma yi nyina as a result of national identification card ni linkages no to so many things. Nti kakra we will get there. But the enim say as we widen the tax net no burden no ebe from but revenue na ebe no eye bebre. All
right. Safe na dia fidi na to a honorable Abena Osei Asare o so afa bi de kire ohwe on basic asem so na ye ne di nkomo osan ye machine ni di momamfo wo etiwa the east. Yeah. Na honorable agenda 88 amamfo bi ya fa ne se fallacy. But enra o boss my head ase say preparational works ahodo nyina awie preparational works no den ne ko mu because o mampani my 1 year na eko 2 years yi nti 1 year ni nyina preparation ne ni sie na nkasa no enso be di say
say the mampani can say ye dey asobo from within 1 year na say see ewie. That is the distinction. One can say tama all kasan within a year.
Politicians one amotimo asem say sem no amoka je say mo amosa be kirem.
Okay say ye dey ebo from within 1 year na say ye kuku esi we.
Ya anti ase sa.
Processes bebre na code through. One, the design of the hospitals and the various places.
But that one, the munya commendation because per idea me ready and is a local architect ni ade na mo engage omo for the designs and architectural works ni nyina. That one. I hope say you man nkasa so de be man local contractors so am ye.
Omo menya nyina ye local contractors aye ni omo ene wo ha.
Okay, so contract mo award mpo awie.
Ye di kan aye 32 a Nyankopon ye adoma bosumi a ye be wure me ye August bosumi abinde aso ebebo form
na award 32 dada.
Minim say 32 eye ne ye de ba be hyase.
Okay.
Hospitals in ya no go ni be kasa into lots into sections. The first lot here 32 now across the country yeah ye be etna hana ye kasa say but the things and new money preparations go through and sana unim say nsase ebe ye issue land to build these things on was one of the various districts.
The districts involved no were not willing to release lands or
what?
No,
yes sir, ebia asas no location no ebia nye papa we have to look for another one. Sa nyoma we nyina come into play whilst we were preparing sa nyoma we nyina but Nyankopon wadom the first 32 no ye dey aso ebebo form bosumi a ye ba be wremu and now mampanin ka say within a year no because the funding has already been secured. Okay say ye call Parliament, this supplementary call Parliament in 2020, you can say ye ja $600 million, $100 million at all purposely for this, and so it's been ring fenced, and we are waiting. Say ye be cut sword no na ye did you man.
Okay, nti cut sword next month, and you hear any say.
Within that was what I know. That was what the president meant when he said within 1 year we should see the hospitals being raised.
All right.
And your hospitals so sikeke yeah equip hospitals necessary. And as you equip hospitals necessary, you need to equip them with a human resource. Your nurses, near doctor, foreigners, and your money nyina. Ti nyoma we nyina na aban ehwe holistically so that you be wie no nyesa afi na you be train more doctors. Already we have what it takes. Nti ye hwe sa nyoma we nyina nti se a delay a me stress sa backroom adwuma nyina so ka ho
na ye ye nkosi nwie ne enko ye te se ba ko na mo beto ye a mo se ye sisi ho so afidie bia anim no
nti na make say it is not just about the building but equipment ye de be mane and the human resource needed ni nyina ye combined in this particular project of agenda 88 now.
All right, afi one district one factory one of my flagship programs amanfo enyamu gidie say we dey ba enwume yasem ya wo kan most of these factories operational mabunu ya na be mu adwuma we say about 100 and is it 102 and operational say in about 125 so at various stages
of
completion.
Me pa sure yes all it is a hope say every district will have at least one. So you can have more than one, but a minimum of one. Yes.
More than one because we okra ba ku bi e she hodada.
Enti a minimum of one. You can choose to have many. But so far 102 and this has provided about 150,000 jobs, both direct and indirect to areas Jumedie wo
opposition for is won koto so bi edan isi wana mo me apenti na mo trotro ho say one district one factory ni ade
yeah say ade ne your friend evidence nti ade na wonkom na wonkɔhwɛ sɛ ampa sɛ ye say na ye sa
ede mo na mo de boa nkrofo with regards to this one
ka eno nanka me ba so ba beka no ye di kan ye hu sɛ factories ni bebree no na ye lack of access to capital o say na misika kɔlɔki nti di aban ba na obeye ne sɛ obwa na ubo besia na
we existing ones ne de na okay na say new ones
whether existing or new ones yes obwa na say oba your friend is saying utimi set up na so usually most of the time people use loans to set up these factories because there will be any scapudo be da ho beka say inti aban eso insi ho no ni beka say interest payments no aban takes a part of it whilst you also pay a part of it. I'm paying bebree interest no serve as a deterrent to a lot of people. And yet tiaka aban tia interest ni bi keke. But aban so yen hyehyeye ama nese na making interest rates are dropping. Inti e drop sa na aban so sign etia emu fan amawa. It leaves quite an amount of money in your pocket to be able to run the business. And then no person so say in the course of a business, nyoma na wo ye no machines ni ade say wo kra free ama no ne ba. Aban ehwe contribution a o business no say ba ebeboa na wa ma tax exemption on certain things a yenye wo yekrom hanum say say wo kra na wo de ba no sa de nso a relieve you a free of a lot of money and anka wo de betua sa import duties sa nyoma nyina nti nyina so leaves money in your hands and then the planting for food and jobs no so act as the raw material base for some of the items now here normally around
currently is it suffering somehow
ni how per se it's about fertilizer but fertilizer does not make the program plans for food and jobs
I
mean say but any fertilizer nko the ye can say fertilizer no moving forward ebia yetua but the wakwakoji ne sisia no na yentua ye bomodin say ye beboa na ya clear sa debt ni fi but as far as government is concerned
fertilizer na mai
as far as government is concerned budget ye dey to ho for sa nyoma ni nyina no government push it through ebia for some reason for one or two reasons they had to purchase more fertilizers than we had budgeted for and that is where the problem comes but as far as government is concerned sikapudo bia oja in the budget for plans for food and jobs for fertilizer government has paid but in the course of the business we estimate 10,000 metric tons but in the end we ended up purchasing 13,000 so that 3,000 difference maybe akwakofa ekaba but enukra government is looking at it and seeing how best
because
can address
priority area
yes
we wo free SHS ne ho ye
free SHS ne ho ye papa
oh yeah sure said ne
ho ye papa and gradually we are closing the infrastructure gap kaneno na nyoma bebre wo ho a na schools no ni as a result of the increase in the numbers no but kakra aban AC anu kwan wo hwe bebre ye dormitories ni bia kan dining halls ni sa nyoma and sikane ye dey running nso so government is committed we share your budget nim for 2021 we put about 1.97 billion so close to 2 billion in the budget for Adiewe for free SHS no and now we share answer na omo betimi akọ school last year no so government invested a lot of money government invested close to 7.6 billion within a space of 4 years the 4 years or 5 years of this program no share money nyede and say nti eguso
it okay more close to infrastructure gap na say we are heading towards eliminating a double track and account and no one
some minister no edi can say the double track is not going to be is not going to run throughout but after some time when we have been able to close the infrastructure gap
I don't know how soon
minister no a certain duration but I don't have it on top of my head
okay
but it is something I know so we are heading towards because we are closing the infrastructure gap through Get Fund are buying through them no we're able to raise some monies to build and schools and dining halls
Ghana form abamu obu especially omusu sesika ho ayedin mo na wo hwe o man sika 70 bibia so no ka bibi e kire omo
say the mechanic say it is
in
not
just 1 minute
yes, it is not peculiar to Ghana. We ask me for because of the adverse effect of COVID. And yentimi COVID ni wait ni nyinanwie, but aban ye bibia possible. Say ye be boy ye ho ban de edikan. And say ye ho say ye the vaccines ne ebeba, ye the vaccines ne ba. At least yetimi nya herd immunity ni yetimi go about your normal business. Afa so within the youth group no, aban de nhihye bebre but let's take advantage of this 1 million jobs and let's and see minimum say afi nyoma ebeko yie. And now face small and medium scale enterprises and so aban ye nhihye papa bi and interest rates drop it, so more access to capital, the cost of capital also so platform. So best stress help government embrace and let's come together.
Thank you very much, the beautiful Deputy Finance Minister, Honorable Abena Osei Asare. Medin Nana se ampo for Jane, Asian Commander Dominic Sieboa, Wabe Kofi Ampedu, Ferguson, Priscilla, the production team Nina, Yankopon Shamhana, the Badwam Mpensenpensenmu. Yami Adom Kaisa Mpensenpensenmu ma hene kwamna asante.